We in the Worship Arts Committee have been pondering what makes a Sunday morning service meaningful, or the most meaningful to the most people. The Worship Arts Committee, once known as the Music Committee, has the purpose, in partnership with the ministers, to create for UCE a program of spiritually meaningful, artistically enriching, inspiring, challenging, and transformative worship services, and to serve as the primary volunteer resource to further a music program that enhances religious services and other events. We also provide a sounding board for the ministers to elicit feedback on aspects of church services and on new ideas for them. We recognize that the ministers and the director of music are the decision makers. Sometimes we ask, why call it worship? Many here are humanists, and some would say atheists. I like former religious education director Sue Sinneman's definition. She said it is really worthship. I'd thought that was, at the time, that was one of those jokes with a meaning. But the origin of the word worship is in the Old English "wertskippen," meaning to ascribe worth to something or to shape things of worth. Worship is a deliberate shaping, ordering, or recalling of the things of worth which we experience individually at various moments in our lives. This shaping is done in the context of a community of people who share common values, ideas, and attitudes. I came upon an article by the Reverend Erica Hewitt, the UUA's Minister of Worship Arts and editor of Braver, Wiser, a weekly spirituality series. She also serves as a Unitarian Universalist parish minister in Maine. The article was entitled 10 Things My Gym Taught Me About How to Be Welcoming in Worship. Welcoming is one of the most important aspects of what happens here. Welcoming doesn't only apply to when newcomers or visitors are walking in the door, but throughout the service, every week. She relates how going to a gym for weight training has helped her recall what it's like to be a newcomer in a community, and how leaders can create a climate of acceptance, encouragement, and empowerment for those newcomers. Of course, we can all be leaders at various times. Hewitt notes that when they arrive, people already want to belong. When she decided to find a gym, she asked for advice from trusted people, investigated websites, and called to ask questions. Their responsiveness was a factor in her choice. When she showed up for the first time, she had mostly already decided it was the right place for her. The owner didn't have to entice her to return by doing backflips, just by being congruent with what she'd already experienced. If you are here for the first time today, you may have engaged a similar process. Hewitt also notes the importance of first impressions in creating an atmosphere for health and fitness and for worship. We are grateful that such a welcome happens by and large here every week. And this is a good time to shout out to our maintenance staff and every single person here who picks up a dropped napkin off the floor, or whisks away a forgotten plate or coffee cup, or who rises to the occasion of performing a little unscheduled washroom maintenance. Pride of place shows we think it's important for everyone to feel comfortable here. We also feel welcomed when we feel known and affirmed. Receiving a good morning, eye contact and a smile, and getting called by name makes each of us feel valued. It doesn't happen by accident. We are all a conduit for the Spirit that moves among us and beyond the individual, holding a space for every person, whether stranger or friend. At the gym, you might hear you're doing great, even when it's marginally true. Those who are giving great effort need to hear it, as do the people in our chairs. While the purpose of the church, for me, based on a story I've heard a number of times from this pulpit, is to make each of us a better person than we were the first time we walked in, we all need affirmation along the way. Reverend Hewitt joined her gym with a narrow purpose: to be able to walk up and down stairs without panting or pain. She wrote, "I accomplished that goal a while ago. Am I leaving anytime soon? Not a chance. I'm having fun. Only now am I beginning to grasp the depth of that community and to make new friends. I'd like to think that if I disappeared, people would miss me. Is that not the definition of relationship?" When we create and offer our community to seekers, we're inviting them and ourselves to be changed. The impulse that carries newcomers through our doors might evolve as the layers of community reveal themselves. It's up to every one of us, especially on Sunday mornings, to do all that we can to create the conditions for relationships of belonging to flourish. Though a sense of welcoming and belonging is necessary to the worship experience, it is far from sufficient. The tradition in which American Unitarianism and Universalism have their roots is Calvinism, which had an essentially educational view of worship. Most UU worship is thematic, expressing a particular idea or message. Its goal is to move people and through them society, to help create community, justice, equality, and to widen personal horizons. A very different form of worship is liturgical. Typically, much of the service is read or responded to by the congregation. The worshiper enters into a predictable pattern that attempts to touch certain human needs rather than express a theme. The material used provides an opportunity to give praise, express gratitude, acknowledge errors and shortcomings, experience healing and forgiveness, feel connected to the church community, affirm and dedicate oneself to common values, and perhaps experience something of the transcendent. Worship as a celebration emphasizes the artistic, offering aesthetic perspectives on life. Some like to see worship as play. Of course, worship need not be exclusively any one of these, and rarely is. Each kind of worship can be done well or poorly. Worship must not be mere performance. It must involve us and meet our needs to affirm our common values, acknowledge inadequacies, feel healing power, consider wisdom both past and present, dedicate ourselves to the future in hope and go forth in strength, and at times challenge us intellectually or ethically, and to give praise or applaud, even if silently or inwardly. What about the sermon? Isn't the sermon the most important part of the service? Maybe not to some. What is a good sermon? There may be almost as many opinions as listeners. Is it one that is narrative or allegorical? Literal common sense or intellectual? Humanistic or spiritual? How much depends on the oratorical skills of the minister? Must a good sermon both comfort and challenge us? Is a good sermon like art? We know when we hear it. Most of us can recall conversations wherein some thought the sermons of a particular minister were excellent, and for others, not so much. We can also recall occasions when everyone excitedly remarked, "That was a terrific sermon today." Perhaps what's to remember is that the sermon is what gives the minister or worship leader their opportunity to express their individual take on the subject matter at hand. Their soul is most free to reach out to ours. Incidentally, I feel it's an honor to be entrusted with speaking from the pulpit, and Sunday mornings here are and should be regarded as a special time together. Carolyn C. Brown, a Christian children's educator, has expressed what we in the Worship Arts Committee believe is an attainable goal for our services. Worship planning does not require that all worshipers find all parts of worship equally meaningful, but that each worshiper has some appreciation for the whole and special appreciation for certain parts within the whole. We pray and trust that in every worship service here, there will be at least parts that will have special meaning for you.